Hi and welcome to the Trading Bell. Now, I'm sure when you see this orange color, it signifies a brand that probably you have interacted with, if not so yet. We're talking about Naivas. Rings a bell? Absolutely. And they're right here on the Trading Bell to just appreciate the journey and what they're doing, because this is a retail that has really crossed the mark and has really achieved numbers that we have not seen in this country before. And the conversation is going to be involving about three gentlemen who have been part and parcel of this build up to the conversation about the retail supermarket. And first, I'll be speaking to the Chief Operations, and that's none other than Peter Mukuha, to just help us understand the journey. Peter, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, it's good to have you here, and thank you so much for welcoming us. As I've said, this is a brand that is synonymous, especially in some of the communities when you go around, we've seen you coming in there. And just wanted our viewers to appreciate the journey of Naivas. All I know is my small story of a place called Rongai, and I know there are many Rongais, but you'll be able to explain to us that story. Please help us understand it.
Well, thank you. And the journey has been incredible.
Yeah.
And I would say I'm probably not the right person to give that full story, but I've been lucky enough to be involved in it since inception.
Yeah.
Like you rightly said, Naivas was started in Rongai, just a small town from Nakuru, by four siblings. They were just trying to make their living better.
Yeah.
But they had a vision of growing this company beyond Nakuru.
Yeah.
So I would say at first it was a real struggle for them to get out of the village store. It was a very small store, less than I would say 1,000 square feet store. But they worked hard through a lot of discipline, through a lot of struggle, through a lot of commitment to continue growing the business. They had a vision to bring the business to where it is today. Yeah. And I think the business was started in 1994, and we opened our second store in 1996 in Naivas. And I think that's where the name Naivas comes from. We used to be known as Naivas self-service stores before rebranding to Naivas. The journey was tough because by then we could not even get credit from suppliers. We could not buy directly from manufacturers. So we had to buy through from middlemen. Of course, margins are different, costs are high, but through the trust, through the honesty, through the integrity that we kept, the founders kept, we were able to be trusted, and people started giving us credit. And in the year 2001, that's when we opened our first store. But then there were giants in the industry. We were nothing in Arab when
we know the giants. Yes.
In Ronangala. And again, it was a real struggle. Because getting locations, we were not the preferred retailer to get a location. Of course, there were bigger players. So expanding then was quite difficult. But we persevered, I think, through the focus, again, through the dedication of the founders. We were able to push on. We opened our third store in Machakos town. And I think that's where we really saw, or we really changed what or how we were planning to expand. Because there was a lot of learnings in Nairobi. The cost of doing business in Nairobi is quite high. That means your margins are very small. Like in retail, it's all about margins and volume. But when we went to Machakos, we realized, the people are underserved in some of these small towns. People are being exploited. Surprising and that. And that's how we changed our focus and started venturing in these small towns, the likes of Machakos, Eldoret, and all that. And to sum it up, I think today we have around 109 stores.
Wow.
It has been an incredible journey.
Nobody else has hit 100 back, right?
I don't think so. I think we are the first retailer in Kenya to pass the 100 mark. But like I said, it has come through a lot of trust.
So what's sort of like the expansion kind of plan? What are you looking at? Because you seem unstoppable now. Once you hit the 100 mark now and you're already going, I'm sure there are many other plans that you have in mind.
Yeah, and like we always say, you know, 100 is just a number.
Yeah.
For us, what is important is creating a sustainable business.
Yeah.
And it's not about growing the number of branches.
Yeah.
It's about making sure that the real estate that we have right now, is it working for us?
Yeah.
Are we able to meet the promises that we've kept for our suppliers? Are we carrying along the staff that we have? Are we growing them? I think those elements are what matters. It's not about the number of branches.
Yeah.
Of course, retail, you can only grow by expansion.
By the numbers, yes.
Organic, so it's also important. But I think making the model sustainable is what really matters for us.
Excellent. Yeah. A lot of businesses in Kenya don't survive, especially after the founders probably are not there. But looking at Naivas and looking at how it has grown to where it is, and looking at you guys ensuring that this vision keeps growing and really empowering very many Kenyans like you're doing, there could be some lessons. What's the one lesson you can tell anybody who's watching and has a business and is wondering, succession, those kind of things, what would you say?
And I think a few things I've learned, I think is, and especially in retail, it's getting the basics right.
Yeah.
And basics for us is something like allocation. Do you have the right allocation?
Yeah.
Basic is like, do you have the right products on the shelf? Do you have the right pricing on the shelf?
Yeah.
Do you have the right quality on the shelf? Those are main basics that customers are looking at.
Get them.
And as a company, we're very customer centric.
Okay.
And we'll continue being that, making sure that we are providing value, the best value in the country. And we hope by doing that, we'll continue cementing our position as a number one and continue growing.
Makes sense. Yes. Peter, I like that ending of a giant that empowers more people. In fact, I want to have a conversation with Tim Kajime, who's in charge of actually the workforce and all that, to understand how many families he's touching and growing this giant. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Let's transition now to Tim to just get a picture of the workforce and much more. Well, Tim Kajime is here. How are you, Tim?
Fine, thank you.
It's good to meet you.
Likewise, welcome to Naivas.
And you know, our choice of stage, and thank you so much for the welcome, has a lot of trophies first. I actually want to start from there. What are all this? I know there are quite a number, but maybe you can explain the big one because it looks so big.
All right. Quite a number of these trophies are some of the awards we've won as a business, either in customer service or in terms of being one of the best retailers in the industry.
Okay.
But interestingly, this big one, one interesting fact that most people don't know about Naivas is that we have a football club.
Oh.
We do have one of the best football clubs where we sponsor 3 football teams. We've got seniors, men.
Yeah.
We've got senior ladies, and we've got a youth team that we sponsor. Wow. What is interesting about the football club is that these are people who come from disadvantaged backgrounds. So as part of our engagement with the communities that we operate in, we thought one of the best ways of getting some of these young people getting into activities that are whether it is revenue generating or in terms of getting them out of crime and so on. So that's why we've partnered with some of these underprivileged communities. And we sponsor these young people. They're doing very well in the, I think, 2nd division in the league. And that's why you see some of these trophies, and you'll see some as we go around.
You know, speaking earlier on about the journey of Naivas and looking at the branches you have, I tend to believe that I'll be right to say you're one of the largest employers in the country. And I wanted to ask you, what are the numbers like so we can appreciate that?
Yes, we are one of the largest private employers in the country. We currently have a permanent staff complement of 12,000. 12,000? 12,000 employees. Those are full-time employees. Once in a while during the heavy trading periods, that number could slightly go up.
Wow, that's a big number to manage. And I just wanted to ask you, how are you ensuring that all these employees that you have are really operating well because you're in charge of their welfare? And that they still feel motivated, that they are upscaling to ensure that you're still competitive in the industry? And the fact that you're still growing in terms of retail numbers, I just came to learn that you've already hit the 100 mark plus now.
Yes, that's correct.
How are you doing to operate this? Because this is not a small number.
So here at Naivas, we don't believe in giving jobs.
Oh,
We believe in giving opportunities.
okay.
So when you come on board Naivas,
Yeah.
we give you an opportunity to grow your career. And that's the culture that we try to inculcate in our employees. So when they come, they know this is an opportunity for me to build myself, to build my career. Because
Absolutely.
when you look at most of the employees that we engage, most of them are actually coming in either as their first jobs
Yeah.
or they are pretty young within the industry. So they come and we take a lot of time
Yeah.
to develop them, mentor them, coach them, and grow them within the ranks. So we have actually a full-fledged learning and development department, which happens to fall under my scope.
Yeah.
And what we basically do is we run programs from day one when somebody joins Naivas, based on the role that they have joined. They almost know very well what their career path is going to be. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Tim. And actually, because Peter's dream is to see over 200 retailers,
Yes.
I think you might end up doubling your workforce.
Most likely. Most likely.
All right. Thank you so much for your time. We want to transition now to Andreas, who's going to give us much more on this particular conversation, especially on the integrities of how they operate in competitively. Let's get there. Joining me now is Andreas, and he's the Chief of Strategy. He's going to tell us a little bit more about what are their plans and what are they doing to actually keep themselves where they are, still number one with numbers of retail shops. Thank you so much, and glad to see you again.
Thank you for having me.
Excellent. So let me start the conversation by talking about, how are you ensuring that Naivas remains a household name, so that we don't one day wake up and we're wondering where was that name? Because you want to remain sustainable.
Yeah, very good question. I think what's most important for us is we ensure we serve the customer well.
Okay.
It all stands and falls with the customer. So we've got to make sure that we have the right products.
Yeah.
And I think importantly, especially in the current economic climate, we have the right price point.
Yeah.
And so that's where the journey for us starts, ensuring we've got the right pricing on products that customers want. But of course, they have to be accessible.
Okay.
And so we have to make sure that we've got stores where customers want to shop.
Yeah.
And so really we look to be where customers need us from a shopping perspective.
Yeah.
We look to offer them an environment that makes it a very accessible but also a very friendly place to shop, that has a wide variety of products and fundamentally then ensures that they keep some money in their pocket when they're done with their weekly or monthly shop.
Absolutely. Every time I think of a customer, they like to be loyal to their brands. And so definitely expansion is part of the plan that I've heard from the other speakers that we have had today. And I wanted to ask you, what about cross-border? Because there are people who go out there and they want to see their brand. Is that still part of the plans that you have?
Look, I would say, first of all, we're really pleased with what we've achieved in Kenya.
Which is great.
A success story, I think, for a family-owned business to get this far, to get north of 100 stores and to keep on growing. And I think it's so important in this business to ensure we continue to get the basics right and we pace ourselves.
Yeah.
We've seen many players, I think, who stretched themselves perhaps a bit too far, went to too many different countries, and then things collapsed. And so we definitely have big ambitions because we think that we have a very strong proposition. But I think in the short to medium term, Kenya will be our focus. Having said that, we often have conversations about what the opportunity in the region is, and I think it will be fantastic for a Kenyan business to expand across borders, and there's some very interesting markets right next door to us.
Wow, glad to know. As you're talking still about thinking about local, what informs your locations? Curious to know.
I think Tim, my colleague from HR, mentioned that we're a very scientific business.
Yeah.
And so Peter, who looks after new stores, spends a lot of time researching locations.
Yeah.
That's looking at the sort of demographics that are there, both current and, of course, future. So to give you an example, we will be opening our 110th store this week in Tartu City. That is definitely more of a futuristic project where I think growth will come over time.
Yeah.
And so we look to position ourselves where customers are today, the customers that we target, but also where customers may come in the future. And so a lot of analysis goes into understanding what locations might be profitable for us. Okay,
let's transition to consumer trends and what we're seeing as transitions as well. A lot of people just don't care much but convenience. Probably I want just from my home, from a click of a button, to ensure that everything that I've ordered just comes to me. How are you adapting to this?
Several ways. I think, first of all, from a consumer trend perspective, the number one thing still would be around affordability.
Yeah.
And I think that's key. And offering not just pricing, but what we call value for money. That means both the quality and the price point are right.
Yeah.
And that's key for us. Secondly, it's getting the stores closer to where people live, or where people might be commuting. So you will have seen us opening up a lot of stores in residential areas, but also in petrol stations, for example, where people might be passing on their way to work or indeed coming home from work. So it's getting that connectivity to the customer that's really important for us. And last but not least, and I think you're touching on it, the digital space is very important for us. It's important for us in terms of how we communicate with our customer, to get our message out, to tell customers what we're doing, where we might be located, what our offers are, but also, of course, to enable customers to do their shopping, not just in our stores, but also online.
Speaking about online as a strategy, how significant is it for you?
I think it's a very important part of our business, and it will continue to grow in relevance for two reasons. One, it's a very digital, Kenya is a very digital country. Smartphone penetration is very high. People are very used to gather information from all sorts of sources online. And so our presence online to inform the customer about what we do is critical. But of course, convenience, especially for urban demographics, is very important. So the ability not just to come to our stores, which might be nearby, but to order online and have those groceries delivered to your house will be a very big part of our growth in the future.
What would you say is the future of e-commerce in part of your future?
I think it's a very big part of our future, but I think it's very much rooted in our heritage. You see, I think what's very important for people ordering online, whatever it might be your daily groceries or indeed a TV or a fridge, is trust in the brand.
Absolutely.
Because you want to have the trust that when you order those goods and they're delivered to your house, if there are issues that arise, you've got a big brand that you can trust, who stands behind it, who will help you sort out those issues. And so I think it's the heritage and our trust and the strength of our brand as much as the technology in terms of enabling customers to order online. Okay.
I'm keen on this conversation that we're transitioning to on your supply chains and matters to do with local partnerships, because you're one, if not only, major distribution channel for local farmers right now and even suppliers. What percentage of your products actually are locally sourced?
So we are very big on supporting the local economy. That's very important to us. Over 80% of what we sell is locally sourced.
Wow.
So that's very important, and we work in very close collaboration with suppliers in the market. We're very important for them; they're very important for us. So it's a very symbiotic relationship. You mentioned farmers.
Yes.
We have over 200 suppliers to our fruit and vegetable department.
Wow.
Those are suppliers, but of course they have farms behind them, and our estimate is, of course, we can't track this accurately, that there are over 5,000 farms that are supplying those suppliers, which end up, on our grocery shelves. Tim mentioned earlier the impact that we have in terms of livelihoods that we support, but you can see just from that fact there is a very big impact that we have, even with small-scale farmers who end up supplying to our stores.
The conversation just in matters economy is that if we empower SMEs and even local manufacturers, we will achieve what we have not achieved in this country. And you are a key player in that, because when they manufacture, when they produce some things, when they are SMEs doing these things, they will need your shelves so that at least they can sell. How are you empowering these SMEs and local manufacturers?
So we take our role in that very seriously, because the reality is if we help local manufacturers, local suppliers, improve their capabilities to suppliers, to improve the products they offer, we will also win, because ultimately we have to ensure that what we supply is what the customer wants. We are going to launch a new program very shortly to specifically help SMEs do business with us.
It's like an incubation or something?
Exactly. We'll be launching it soon, so I can't yet announce all of the plans, but it's going to be a very big program. And it's really designed not just to bring SMEs to us, but to help train SMEs on how do you do business with a big retailer. See, it's not just as straightforward as listing your product and it's on the shelf. We're now a very big business. We've got a very complex supply chain. We've got quite rigorous processes in terms of what we put on our shelves. And we want to help smaller businesses manage those challenges to ensure that they win with us.
Fair enough. Let's talk about the customers. Definitely, their wallets matter a lot when it comes to purchasing power and all that. And there are many other factors in the macros, like inflations, that affect that. How do you support them as well? Because they would want to hear that.
It's a daily battle for us. We pride ourselves on offering very good pricing. Naivas saves you money has been our tagline since inception. That's very important for us, and we take that very seriously. Peter mentioned earlier, we are a low margin business, so that struggle in terms of how we source our products, the cost base that we have with 12,000 employees, as you can imagine, is significant, and the benefits that we offer. And so it is a very, very tough task, but we work on it every day to ensure that we can give customers real value for money but doing so sustainably.
Excellent. As we come to a close, competition is definitely something that is probably part of your strategy every single day. And you are not just facing it locally, but also internationally. And I wanted to ask you, how are you navigating this?
I think, first of all, I would say the Kenyan retail space overall is in a much better state today than it would have been 10 years ago, when I think there were challenges.
Yeah.
I think the second thing I would say is competition is good for us.
It's good for you.
It makes us better. You know, it makes us better as a business. Of course, we would love to be the only player in the market, but the reality is competition makes us better. It keeps us on our toes.
Yeah.
And I think actually at the moment, Kenya has a very thriving retail sector, and I think that's good for everyone. There is plenty of space to grow.
Yeah.
And I think as long as everybody is focused on that local sustainability to ensure we support the economy, but also, of course, offering great value to our customers, then I think we can all win in the market.
Absolutely. Competition is welcome. I have a question to ask you. What lessons have you learned from some of the major retailers that we had, big names that are no longer here?
I think it's something Peter said earlier. Our ability to adapt to the local customer is key.
Okay.
And I think that's where Naivas has a very, very important role. It is grounded in the heritage of Kenyan customers. The business has grown up really understanding Kenyan customers and seeing how they've transitioned over time. And I think our ability to have that proximity to really understand what customers want is what stood the test of time for us. And I think that's the reason we've been able to grow sustainably.
Okay. Finally, my final question would be about how you're navigating pricing versus profitability, because I can tell every single day, inflation, all those things, factors, how you navigating all this.
You know, the reality that we're here 35 years after founding has meant that the shareholders, the management team, have always managed that balance well. You know, you go too far in one direction, you start to run into challenges. You go too far in the other one, and you go out of business. And so that balance in terms of ensuring that we manage our cost base, that we look for cost savings continuously that we can pass on to the customer, I think is what we've navigated very well. But it's an ongoing, as you can imagine, demand from the shareholders to ensure that not only do we open more stores, but we also ensure that from a shareholder return perspective, everybody's happy.
Thank you so much, Andreas.
Thank you.
Andreas has told me that Naivas saves you money. I believe you have the best voice to tell me that, so I will wait for your feedback. Thank you so much for your time right here on the Trading Bell. I'm going round to see what else they have in store for me. Bye-bye.